She was 62 years old when she finally allowed herself to believe in love again. After nearly 2 decades of loneliness, after watching her friends find happiness while she remained invisible, after convincing herself that romance was something that happened to other people, she met him. A decorated military hero. A man of honor. A 3-star general serving overseas, fighting for his country while somehow finding time to fall desperately in love with her. He sent her a ring. He promised her a wedding. He convinced her they would buy a $2 million dream home together. And over the course of 18 months, he would systematically destroy everything she had. Her savings. Her inheritance. Her dignity. Her belief in human kindness. This is the story of Diane Mitchell. And the soldier who never existed. Phoenix, Arizona. A city of relentless sun and sprawling suburbs. A place where millions of people live side by side, yet somehow, loneliness thrives in every quiet corner. Diane Mitchell had lived here for 37 years. She knew the streets like the lines on her own hands. She knew the rhythm of the seasons, the way the heat shimmered off the pavement in July, the brief mercy of December evenings. What she didn't know anymore was what it felt like to matter to someone. For 24 years, she had been married to Thomas. They'd raised 3 children together, built a life, accumulated memories like photographs in an album that no one ever opened anymore. But somewhere along the way, the marriage had curdled. Small resentments became walls. Silence replaced conversation. And one morning, Diane woke up and realized she couldn't remember the last time her husband had looked at her, really looked at her, like she was something worth seeing. The divorce was quiet, almost surgical. After 24 years, it took less than 6 months to legally erase the partnership. The children were grown. The house was sold. And Diane found herself, at 45 years old, completely and utterly alone. What happens to a woman when she disappears? That was the question Diane asked herself every night for the next 17 years. She dated, occasionally. A retired accountant who talked about nothing but his ex-wife. A widower who cried at dinner. A man from her church who, it turned out, was already married. Each disappointment carved a little deeper into her heart until eventually, Diane stopped trying. She threw herself into her work instead. For 23 years, she served as a library administrator for the county school system. She loved the work, the quiet satisfaction of organizing knowledge, helping students find what they needed, watching young minds discover the magic of stories. But every evening she returned to an empty apartment. 3 rooms, a cat named Biscuit, and the suffocating weight of silence. Her children called occasionally, but they had their own lives now. Her friends were married, busy, preoccupied with grandchildren and anniversary trips. Diane became the woman people invited out of obligation, the third wheel, the afterthought. And in those 17 years of solitude, something inside her began to wither. She stopped looking in mirrors. What was the point? She stopped buying new clothes. Who would notice? She stopped imagining a future that looked any different from her present. Until one evening, everything changed. Before we continue with Diane's story, I need you to understand something. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. This happened to a real person. Someone's mother. Someone's grandmother. Someone who believed in love and paid an unimaginable price for that belief. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right now. Not for me, for the next victim. Every subscriber helps this channel reach one more person who might be saved from what happened to Diane. Every person who scrolls past without subscribing might be leaving someone they care about vulnerable to these predators. The scammers are counting on your silence. Don't give them that power. Now, let's continue. It was her daughter who convinced Diane to join Facebook. Mom, it's 2023. Everyone's on it. You can join craft groups, reconnect with old friends, share pictures of Biscuit. It'll be good for you. Diane had always been resistant to technology. But loneliness has a way of wearing down resistance. So one Sunday afternoon, she created an account. She felt foolish at first. Uploading a profile picture, an old photograph from her nephew's wedding where the lighting had been kind. Writing a bio that summarized 62 years of life in 3 sentences. It all felt so reductive. But then she discovered the groups. There was one for quilting enthusiasts, another for people who loved making jewelry, a third dedicated to something called diamond art, a meditative craft where you place tiny resin gems onto adhesive canvases to create sparkling images. Diane was hooked immediately. She ordered her first diamond art kit that same week, a landscape of mountains and waterfalls. She spent hours at her kitchen table, carefully placing each gem, watching the image slowly emerge from chaos. For the first time in years, she felt something close to peace. The Facebook group for diamond art enthusiasts became her sanctuary. She posted pictures of her progress. She offered tips to beginners. She celebrated when others finished their projects. And that's where she met Beth Harmon. Beth was a kind woman from Colorado who made handmade leather bags with her husband. She and Diane connected over their shared love of crafting, their similar senses of humor, their mutual understanding of what it meant to find purpose in creation. They started doing Facebook Live sessions together, showing their works in progress, chatting with viewers, building a small community of fellow crafters. For the first time in 17 years, Diane had a genuine friendship. But what happened next would test that friendship to its absolute limits. It was a Tuesday evening when the message arrived. Diane had just finished dinner, a microwave meal as usual, and was scrolling through her Facebook feed when she noticed the notification. Message request from Marcus W. She didn't recognize the name. The profile picture showed a man in military dress uniform, distinguished gray hair, piercing blue eyes, the confident bearing of someone accustomed to command. Normally, Diane would have ignored it. She received spam messages occasionally, usually obvious scams or inappropriate propositions from strangers. But something about this message felt different. She opened it. Marcus W. Good evening. I apologize for the intrusion, but I simply couldn't scroll past your profile without saying hello. There's something about your smile in that photograph that stopped me completely. It reminded me of warmth and kindness. Two things in short supply where I currently am. I hope you don't find this message too forward. If you'd prefer I not contact you again, I'll respect that completely. But something told me I needed to reach out. Call it intuition. Or maybe just the hope of a lonely soldier. Colonel Marcus Whitfield, U.S. Army. Diane stared at the message for a long time. Her first instinct was suspicion. Why would a military officer be messaging random women on Facebook? It seemed absurd. But then she looked at his profile. The photographs showed a man in various settings, standing in front of military vehicles, shaking hands with officials, wearing medals and ribbons. The posts were sparse but professional. The friends list included other military personnel, their profiles filled with flags and patriotic imagery. And there was something else. Something that resonated deep in Diane's heart. Her father had been a military man. A chaplain who served for 21 years before retiring. She had grown up surrounded by uniforms, by honor, by the particular kind of integrity that military service seemed to instill. Something about this man felt familiar. Against her better judgment, she replied, "Thank you for your kind words. I don't usually respond to messages from strangers, but you seem sincere. Were you stationed?" Marcus said he's currently deployed to a forward operating base in Eastern Europe. "I can't share specific details for security reasons, but I can tell you that it's cold, it's isolating, and every day I wonder what I'm fighting for." Moments like this, unexpected connections with kind strangers, remind me that there's still goodness in the world. May I ask your name? And just like that, it began. Over the next few weeks, Diane and Marcus exchanged messages daily. At first, the conversations were simple. Where are you from? What do you do? What brought you to this moment? Diane shared her story carefully. The long marriage, the divorce, the years of loneliness, her love of crafting, her hopes for whatever time she had left. Marcus listened with what seemed like genuine interest. He asked follow-up questions. He remembered details from previous conversations. He made her feel heard in a way she hadn't experienced in decades. And slowly he shared his own story. He was a 3-star general, he explained. 58 years old. Originally from Virginia. He had joined the Army at 18, straight out of high school, and had devoted his entire life to military service. He had been married once, long ago. His wife had passed away from cancer 8 years prior. They'd never had children. The deployments made it impossible. He described the loneliness that followed her death, the way work became his only refuge, the way he had convinced himself that love was something that happened in his youth, not something he would ever experience again. Until now. Marcus W. said, "I have to confess something, Diane. When I first messaged you, I was just hoping for conversation. Human connection. I didn't expect this. These feelings." He said, "The way I think about you throughout the day. The way I rush to check my messages every morning, hoping you've written. I know we've never met in person. I know this must seem impossible. But I haven't felt this way since my wife. And honestly, this feels different. Deeper. Like we've known each other in a previous life. I feel it too, Marcus. I just never imagined someone like you would be interested in someone like me. Someone like you? Diane, you're the kindest, most genuine person I've ever encountered. Your spirit shines through every word you write. If anything, I'm the one who's unworthy. A tired old soldier with nothing to offer but his heart." Diane cried when she read that message. For 17 years, she had been invisible. A ghost moving through her own life, unseen and unmissed. And now, a decorated military hero was telling her she was special. That she mattered. That she was worth loving. She didn't question why a 3-star general would fall for a retired librarian from Arizona. She didn't wonder why he never wanted to video chat. She didn't notice the way he deflected certain questions or changed subjects when conversations got too specific. Because when you're starving, you don't question the food that appears on your table. You just eat. Right now, as you're listening to this, there are thousands of fake profiles being created specifically to target lonely people. The scammers study psychology. They know exactly what to say, exactly when to say it, exactly how to make you feel like you've finally found your soulmate. And the scariest part? Their success rate is terrifyingly high. If you're watching this video without subscribing, you're exactly the kind of person they're looking for. Someone who might miss the next warning. Someone who might not see the video that could save them, or save someone they love. Subscribe now. Share this video. Because tomorrow it could be your mother, your aunt, your grandmother, and you'll wish you'd paid more attention. 3 months into their correspondence, Marcus proposed. It happened on a Thursday evening. Diane had just finished a particularly beautiful diamond art piece, a portrait of a sunset over the ocean, and was photographing it for her Facebook group when a new message arrived. "Diane, my love, I've been thinking about our future constantly. About what happens when I finally retire. About where I want to spend the rest of my life, and who I want to spend it with. The answer is always the same. I know we haven't met in person yet, but I feel like I know you better than I've ever known anyone. And I want to spend the rest of my days by your side. Will you marry me?" Diane's hands were trembling as she typed her response. "Marcus, are you serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. I know this is unconventional. I know we should wait until I'm home, until we can be together properly. But I couldn't wait another day without telling you how I feel. I love you, Diane. I want you to be my wife. 1,000 times yes. You've made me the happiest man alive. I'm sending you something special. A ring. It won't arrive right away. I had to order it from overseas and have it shipped through military channels. But when it arrives, I want you to wear it and think of me. And know that soon, very soon, we'll be together." 2 weeks later, Diane received a package in the mail. Her heart was pounding as she opened it. Inside was a white envelope, and inside that envelope was a ring. Simple gold band with a small diamond. Not extravagant, but elegant. The kind of ring a military man might choose. Practical, timeless, sincere. Diane slipped it onto her finger and sobbed. She called her daughter immediately. "Mom, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm getting married," Diane said through tears. "I'm getting married again." She told her children. She told her friends at church. She told her crafting group on Facebook. Beth Harmon was the only one who expressed concern. Her friend Beth asked Diane, "Have you ever video chatted with this man? Like, actually seen him live, in real time?" "He's on a military base. The internet connection is terrible. And there are security concerns, He's a general, he can't just pop up on video whenever he wants. But you've seen his pictures? Verified them somehow? I've seen hundreds of pictures, she said, him in uniform. Him with his colleagues. Him at formal events. He's a real person, Beth. I know he is. Have you looked up his name? Like, actually researched him? Of course I have. Colonel Marcus Whitfield. He's real. He's listed on official military websites. There are articles about him. And you're sure he's the one messaging you? Not someone using his pictures? But I know you're trying to help. But I've been alone for 17 years. 17 years. I know what loneliness feels like. And I know what genuine connection feels like. This is real. He's real. And I'm not going to let fear steal this from me. Beth dropped the subject. But she didn't stop worrying. It was 4 months after the engagement when Marcus first mentioned the house. I've been thinking about our future, my love. About where we'll live once I retire. I'm from Virginia originally, and there's something special about the East Coast. The seasons. The history. The quiet beauty of it all. I've never been to Virginia. But I'm open to anywhere, as long as we're together. I found something actually. A house. I want to show you. He sent her a link. A real estate listing for a stunning property in the Virginia countryside. 4 bedrooms. 3 bathrooms. Wraparound porch. Mountain views. Listed at $1.8 million. Marcus, it's beautiful. But that price. I could never afford anything like that. That's the thing, my love. I've been investing. Building a retirement fund over the years. I have access to an investment platform that's been returning incredible profits. If we work together, if we both contribute, we could own this house within months. Our dream home. The place where we'll grow old together. What kind of investment platform? It's a real estate investment consortium. Very exclusive. They pool resources from investors, purchase properties, flip them or rent them, and distribute the profits. The returns are substantial, far better than any bank or traditional retirement account. I've already been investing for 2 years. My account is worth over $1 million now. That sounds incredible. It is. And I want to share it with you. Here's what I'm proposing. We invest together. Whatever you contribute, I'll match. Dollar for dollar. Within 6 months, we'll have enough for the down payment on that house. And we can start our life together. Diane hesitated. The amounts he was describing were enormous. She had savings, her retirement from the library system, plus an inheritance from her parents, who had both passed in the previous 5 years. But investing it all? That seemed risky. I don't know, Marcus. That's a lot of money. What if something goes wrong? My love, I understand your fear. But this is our future. Our future. Don't you want to wake up every morning in that house, looking at those mountains, knowing we built something beautiful together? I would never steer you wrong. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. Trust me. Trust me. Those 2 words would cost Diane Mitchell everything she had. Every single day, romance scammers steal over $3.4 million from victims just like Diane. That's not an annual figure. That's daily. While you're watching this video, someone is having their life savings drained by a person they believe loves them. The only weapon against these predators is awareness. And awareness only spreads when you share this content, when you subscribe, when you make sure everyone in your life knows what to look for. If you scroll away from this video without subscribing, you're leaving the door open for these scammers to find their next victim. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you love. The only way to close that door is to stay informed. Subscribe now, before it's too late. The first transfer was $1,000. Marcus had walked her through the process step by step. She would use a cash transfer app to send the funds to a specific account, which would then deposit the money into her investment portfolio. He sent her screenshots showing his own contributions, identical amounts, matched dollar for dollar. See, he wrote, we're building this together. Partners in everything. Diane watched her account balance grow on the investment platform's website. It was sleek, professional, filled with charts and graphs showing impressive returns. Every day, the numbers climbed higher. Within a week, she sent another $2,000. Then $5,000. Then $10,000. The cash transfer app flagged her account after the third transaction. Account suspended. Unusual activity detected. Please contact customer support. Diane panicked. She messaged Marcus immediately. Something's wrong. My Cash App account is frozen. They think something fraudulent is happening. Don't worry, my love. These apps are overly cautious. Create a new account with a different email address. We can't let a technical glitch slow us down. The market conditions are perfect right now, and we need to keep investing. So Diane created a new account. That one was frozen after 2 transactions. She created a third. Same result. There's another option, Marcus said, cryptocurrency. There are Bitcoin ATMs at convenience stores. You can deposit cash directly and transfer the crypto to our investment account. It's actually faster and more secure than the apps. I've never used cryptocurrency before. I don't understand how it works. I'll guide you through every step. I'm right here with you. We're so close to our goal, Diane. So close to that house. To our wedding. To the life we've been dreaming about. Don't give up now. The first Bitcoin ATM was inside a gas station 15 miles from Diane's apartment. She withdrew $3,000 in cash from her bank and drove there on a Wednesday afternoon. The machine was confusing, screens full of technical jargon she didn't understand, but Marcus stayed on the phone with her the entire time, walking her through each step. Enter this wallet address. Confirm the amount. Press send. The machine hummed. The transaction processed. $3,000, gone. She did it again the following week. And the week after that. And the week after that. Each time, there was a reason to send more. There's an opportunity to double our investment, but we need to act fast. The real estate company requires additional capital for insurance purposes. I'm so sorry to ask for more, my love, but my account is temporarily frozen due to military regulations. If you can cover my portion this month, I'll make it up next month. Diane began withdrawing from her inheritance. The money her parents had left her, their life's savings, meant to provide security for her final years, was draining away. Transfer by transfer. Transaction by transaction. But every time she checked the investment website, the numbers kept climbing. $500,000. $800,000. $1.2 million. $1.8 million. On paper, she was becoming wealthy. In reality, she was being bled dry. 9 months into the scheme, the investment account showed a balance of $2.1 million. More than enough, Marcus assured her, to purchase their dream home. The next step was the escrow process. A realtor began contacting Diane through encrypted messaging, a woman named Catherine who handled transactions for international investors. Good morning, Mrs. Mitchell. I'm delighted to inform you that your offer on the Virginia property has been accepted. We're prepared to proceed with closing. However, there are some administrative fees that must be processed before we can finalize the transaction. What kind of fees? Standard closing costs. Title insurance, document preparation, escrow fees. The total comes to $12,000. Once this is paid, we can proceed immediately. Can't you deduct that from my investment account? There's over $2 million in there. Unfortunately, no. Those funds have already been allocated for the property purchase. The administrative fees must be paid separately to comply with regulations. I apologize for the inconvenience. I know you've already contributed so much. But this is the final step. After this, the house is yours. Diane sent the $12,000. 3 days later, Catherine messaged again. I'm afraid there's been a complication. The title company requires an additional $5,000 for expedited processing. Without this, the closing could be delayed by several months. Several months? Why wasn't this mentioned before? It's an unexpected bureaucratic requirement. These things happen in real estate transactions. I understand your frustration, but we're so close. Just $5,000 more, and you'll have your dream home. Diane sent the $5,000. A week later, another request. And then another. Each time, the explanation was plausible. Each time, the goal seemed tantalizingly close. Each time, Diane transferred the money, terrified of losing everything she'd already invested. By this point, Beth Harmon had watched her friend transform. The vibrant woman she'd met in the crafting group had become a shell. Dark circles under her eyes. Weight loss. A nervous edge to every conversation. And the scheduled craft sessions? Diane was missing more and more of them. "I have to go," she would say at 8:55 p.m. every night. "Marcus is calling at 9. Her entire life revolved around a man she had never met in person. One evening, during a rare video call, Beth finally confronted her. "Diane, I need to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me." "What is it?" Asterisk. I looked up Marcus Whitfield. The real one. He's an actual 3-star general. And according to official military sources, he has no personal social media accounts. None. There are warnings online about scammers using his name and photos to trick women. And he's married, Diane. Happily married. He has a wife. The real Marcus Whitfield is married. No, you're wrong. Marcus told me he was getting divorced. That's what? Diane, listen to yourself. Have you ever video chatted with him? Have you ever seen him live, in real time, speaking to you? The connection is bad where he is. He explained that. Have you ever spoken to him on the phone? He says it's not secure. That phone calls can be intercepted. Diane, how much money have you sent him? Silence. A long, heavy silence. I don't want to talk about this. Much? I don't know exactly. Maybe 50,000. Beth's face went white. Oh my God. But it's invested, Beth. It's in the account. It's growing. I can see it on the website. Diane, I need you to listen to me very carefully. These websites are fake. They're set up by scammers to show you numbers that don't exist. That money is gone. Do you understand me? It's gone. No, you're wrong. You don't understand. I'm reaching out for help. There are people who investigate this kind of thing. Professionals. Will you talk to them? Beth, please just leave it alone. Will you talk to them? Another long silence. And finally, in a voice barely above a whisper. Right now, there are millions of people just like Diane, isolated, lonely, desperate for connection. And scammers are hunting them as you listen to this. The average romance scam victim loses over $50,000. Many lose everything. Their homes, their retirement, their relationships with family members who tried to warn them. You might think it could never happen to you or someone you love. But that's exactly what every victim thought before they became a victim. By subscribing to this channel, you're not just watching true crime content. You're joining an army of people who refuse to let these predators operate in the shadows. If you care about protecting yourself and the people you love, subscribe now. And if you don't, leave a comment below explaining why you're willing to take that risk. We'd love to hear it. Beth Harmon contacted a fraud investigation team that specialized in romance scams. Within days, 2 investigators, a woman named Miranda and a man named James, were reviewing Diane's case. They examined the messages. They analyzed the website. They traced the cryptocurrency transactions. What they found was devastating. Diane, thank you for agreeing to speak with us. I know this is difficult, but we've finished our investigation, and we need to share what we've found. I'm ready. Let's start with the investment website. The one showing your account balance of over $2 million. This website was created less than 11 months ago. For a company claiming to be an established real estate investment consortium, that's a massive red flag. We searched for any registration of this business in the UK, where they claim to be based. There is none. The company doesn't exist. But the numbers. Yeah, the numbers are fake, Diane. They're just code on a screen. Anyone with basic web development skills can create a site that shows whatever numbers they want. The money you sent didn't go into an investment account. It went directly to the scammers. Oh God. We also traced several of your cryptocurrency transactions. The wallet addresses you sent money to, they immediately transferred those funds to other wallets. And those wallets transferred to others. We followed the chain as far as we could. All of the money eventually ended up in a single account controlled by the scammers. This is called laundering, making the money harder to trace. Can you get it back? Yes. We've filed reports with the relevant exchanges. In some cases, if law enforcement acts quickly, funds can be frozen. But honestly, the chances of recovery are very low. These operations are sophisticated. They know how to disappear. Diane, I also need to tell you about Marcus Whitfield. The real one. I know what you're going to say. Beth told me. The real General Whitfield has no personal social media accounts. There are official warnings about scammers using his image. He's been happily married for decades. The person you've been communicating with used stolen photographs to create a fake identity. That person could be anywhere in the world. They could be multiple people. This is how romance scams operate. They use the images of real, respectable people to build false trust. Diane sat in silence for a long moment. The investigators waited. Finally, she spoke. I knew. What do you mean? Part of me knew. For a long time. There were moments when things didn't add up. When the excuses felt too convenient. When something in my gut told me this couldn't be real. But I didn't want to know. I wanted so badly for it to be true. I wanted someone to love me. Is that so wrong? To want to be loved? She was crying now. Deep, racking sobs that shook her entire body. 17 years. 17 years of being invisible. Of feeling worthless. Of watching everyone else find happiness while I sat alone in my apartment wondering what was wrong with me. And then he appeared. This beautiful man who said all the right things. Who made me feel seen for the first time in decades. I needed it to be real. So I made myself believe it was. Diane, this is not your fault. These people are predators. They're professionals. They know exactly how to manipulate vulnerable people. But how much did I lose? How much did they take? The investigators pulled up the records. Every receipt. Every transfer. Every cryptocurrency transaction. The final total, $67,400. Diane's entire inheritance. Almost all of her retirement savings. 17 years of her parents' careful financial planning, stolen by strangers she would never meet. I don't even know how much I have left. I'm scared to look. Diane, here's what I need you to do. Contact your financial advisor. Stop all outgoing transfers immediately. And please, block every account associated with this person. Don't engage with them anymore. They may try to contact you, make new excuses, convince you to send more money. You cannot let them. I know. But even as she said it, Diane felt a strange, terrible grief. Because cutting off Marcus meant cutting off the only person who had made her feel alive in 17 years. Even knowing he wasn't real. Even knowing she had been played. Some part of her still mourned the loss. And that, perhaps, was the cruelest manipulation of all. In the weeks that followed, Diane blocked every account associated with Marcus and the investment scheme. The scammers tried to reach her through new numbers, new profiles, new identities. Each time, she deleted the messages without reading them. Each time, it felt like cutting out a piece of her own heart. She filed reports with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, with her local police, with the cryptocurrency exchanges. The responses were sympathetic but discouraging. Cases like hers numbered in the thousands. Resources were limited. Recovery was unlikely. Her children reacted with a mixture of anger and grief. Her son couldn't understand how she'd fallen for something so obvious. Her daughter cried and held her and said it wasn't her fault. Both of them offered to help financially, but Diane refused. The shame was too great. She had failed her parents. She had failed herself. She had taken everything they'd worked for and handed it to criminals on the other side of the world. But here's the thing about Diane Mitchell. She didn't let the scammers destroy her completely. With Beth's encouragement, she started sharing her story. First in private messages with other members of their crafting community. Then in public posts warning others about the tactics she'd experienced. The response was overwhelming. Dozens of women reached out saying they'd received similar messages. Some had nearly fallen for the same schemes. Others had lost money themselves and felt too ashamed to tell anyone. Diane realized she wasn't alone. And in that realization, she found something she thought she'd lost: purpose. She finished the diamond art piece she'd been working on during the investigation, a portrait that now felt like a memorial to her own naivety. She photographed it and posted it online with a long message about what she'd learned. It went viral within the crafting community. Thousands of shares. Hundreds of comments. Women thanking her for her bravery. Diane Mitchell had been victimized. But she refused to be silenced. Cyber safety lessons. 1. If they won't video chat, they're not real. Every legitimate romantic partner will eventually agree to a video call. There are no exceptions. If someone consistently refuses, blaming technology, security concerns, time zones, military restrictions, they are hiding something. The something is almost always that they don't look like their pictures because they're not who they claim to be. 2. Research names and reverse search images. It's not enough to Google a name. Scammers use real names and real photographs of actual people. Use reverse image search tools to check if the photos appear elsewhere online. Search for the person's name plus words like scam or warning. Many high-profile romance scam identities have been publicly documented. 3. Never send money to someone you haven't met in person. This rule has no exceptions. Not for emergencies. Not for investments. Not for fees. Not for anything. If someone you've only met online asks for money, the relationship ends there. No amount of emotional connection justifies financial transfers to strangers. 4. Trust your bank's fraud warnings. When Diane's Cash App accounts were frozen, the system was trying to protect her. Modern financial platforms have sophisticated fraud detection algorithms. If your bank or payment app blocks a transaction and warns you about suspicious activity, listen. Don't find workarounds. Don't create new accounts. The warnings exist for a reason. 5. Independent verification is your best protection. Any investment opportunity, realtor, or financial platform should be independently verifiable. Check business registrations. Verify licenses. Look up reviews on multiple unrelated websites. If someone offers you an investment opportunity that can only be reached through a link they send you, it's almost certainly a scam. If you've made it this far in this video, you are exactly the kind of person who can help stop these scams. Romance scammers operate in darkness. They depend on silence. They rely on victims being too ashamed to speak up and bystanders being too apathetic to care. But every time you subscribe to this channel, you put another spotlight on their tactics. Every time you share this video, you warn someone who might have been their next target. Every time you engage with content like this, you make it harder for predators to operate undetected. If you refuse to subscribe, at least tell us why in the comments. Tell us what would have made a difference. Tell us how we can reach more people. Because the scammers aren't stopping. And neither can we. Diane Mitchell is still in Phoenix, Arizona. She still makes diamond art. She still video calls with Beth Harmon. She still attends church on Sundays and visits her children when she can afford the plane tickets. But something is different now. The shame hasn't completely faded. She doesn't think it ever will. There are nights when she lies awake replaying every message, every transfer, every moment she should have seen the truth but chose not to. But there are other nights when she thinks about the women she's helped. The stories she's shared. The victims she's warned before the damage was done. She lost $67,000 to a scammer. But she may have saved 10 times that by speaking up. Romance scammers don't just steal money. They steal dignity. They steal trust. They steal the ability to believe that human connection can be genuine. But they can only do that if victims stay silent. Diane chose to speak. And in doing so, she took back something the scammers could never steal, her voice. If you or someone you know is experiencing something similar to what Diane went through, reach out. There are resources. There are people who understand. There are investigators who can help. You are not stupid. You are not weak. You are not alone. You are human. And human beings were made to seek connection. The scammers know this. They exploit it. But they don't get the final word. You do. Thank you for watching Online Scam Stories. If this video helped you see something you hadn't seen before, or if it made you think of someone who needs to hear this message, do what Diane did, speak up. Subscribe. Comment. We'll see you in the next story. Stay safe out there.